This segment is brought to you by Jig Masters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
Welcome to the Bass, Kayak, and Beers podcast on the Paddle and Fin Network. On this podcast, we'll be talking about life and kayak fishing. Every week, we'll have a special guest, whether it's a tournament angler, content creator, or just a regular guy or girl who just loves to go kayak fishing. So grab a cold beer, sit back, and enjoy the show. Bass, Kayak, and Beers is sponsored in part by Douglas Rod. Go to douglasoutdoors.com to check out their full lineup and locate your nearest authorized dealer.
Yak Gadget, made in America, based outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Yak Gadget offers all kinds of storage accessories, quick mount motor mounts, anchor systems, track mounted accessories, even paddles. Go to yakgadget.com and get your kayak decked out for your next trip out on the water.
The 153 Bait Company, based in Troy, Ohio, make everything from plastics to custom painted hard baits. Hook 'em hard and hook 'em often. All of our baits are made to order and all of our hard baits are hand painted to order. So go to the153anglers.com to place your order today.
Quick question, Matt. Do you want me to introduce you? What would you prefer, Matthew Scotch or Matt Scotch?
Whatever rolls off the tongue easiest to you, man. It doesn't make a difference to me.
All right. Cool, man. So let me make sure I got everything set up correctly. And anything else you want to talk about there that I haven't mentioned?
I think that'd be good. It seems like it'd be,
Yeah. Oh, and towards the end, I'll let you also give you a few minutes to plug in any, business partners, sponsorship, pro staff, whatever you want to call it, family members, anybody you want to thank. I'd give a shout out to. We'll give you a few minutes for that. All right, ready?
Let's go.
Perfect. Welcome once again to the Bass, Kayak, and Beers segment on the Paddle and Fin Network. Once again, it's your host, Armando. And today, as always, we have a special guest, fresh from winning the KBF Trail at Trinity River. We got Matthew Scotch. Matt, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you doing, Armando?
Pretty good, man. First of all, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on and talk to us on the podcast, to my listeners. And talk a little bit about the KBF Trail and a little bit about Darnell and also your kayak fishing guide tours that you do here in Texas. So, Matthew, let's start talking a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into kayak fishing, whether recreationally and then competitively, and also your kayak fishing tour guides.
Yeah. Long story short, I got into kayak fishing just to kind of get away and get off the bank and do some fishing. And one day a guy introduced me. He kind of followed me in the driveway and told me about tournaments. And I went to one and kind of got hooked on it. And over time, I won some Hobie Outbacks at this charity tournament in Oklahoma. And with those kayaks that I won, I started Lone Star Kayak Guide. And
Nice.
now I offer kayak guided trips in North Texas on the Brazos River and some area lakes for bass and crappie and striped bass, year round basically.
Nice. What are some of your favorite spots to take your clients?
We do a lot of trips on the Brazos River. So just different sections and it just depends on what we're fishing for, really. If it's
Nice.
largemouth bass or striper or crappie or whatever it is, there's kind of a stretch that each one is better to target in.
Yeah, definitely. Possum Kingdom's one of my favorite ones to go. I love it down there.
It's gorgeous. PK is absolutely beautiful out there.
And it's nice because below PK Dam, you got like so much that you can target. Not only bass fishing, but you got stripers, hybrids. You got trout, which I think this year they stocked at 10,000 trouts, up until March. Yeah,
they put a lot of rainbow trout in there, absolutely. And the bass and the striper and everything eat them.
Yeah. So those are big bass and big stripers right there. They're being feeding off of those trouts. And I went trout fishing this year for the first time at below PK Dam at the Brazos River. And it was, I mean, for trout fishing, it was awesome. So I got
Yeah,
to talk to a lot of the guys that do fly fishing over there. And it seems to be that it's turning into kind of like the Guadalupe River, where it has a sustained population of river trout. I mean, I can't even imagine how those trouts going to survive the summer. And I mean, I know the water comes really cold, but even at that dam, but there's so many stripers over there that gorging on those trout. But I did talk to a couple of guys that said they've caught trout even in August and June last year.
yeah,
So I mean, it's it's a sustained population now. So we'll see.
yeah. Some of them definitely make it a little longer. I don't know how many make it sustained and make it year round, but some of them definitely do make it longer.
So where
But
can people, for those that are coming, for anybody, whether you live in Texas, whether you're coming on vacation, but I'm assuming you'll get a lot of pro anglers or people that qualify for the Bassmaster Classic, the kayak series at Possum Kingdom, which is going to be a little bit later this year. If they want to take their families or they want to do something other than just the pre-fishing, where can people locate you to book a tour and get more information about the tour guides?
you can find me lonestarkayakguide.com. It's got some information there, or you can you can call me. I can put my number out there. It's 830-591-3011. Leave a message or text me. That really is the best way to get a hold of me. I mean, you can email me and all that, but it takes me longer to get back to those. So directly, to my phone is definitely the best way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. Well, there you go. For those that are coming here for Possum Kingdom, and again, even if you're a local guy and you want to take your family out kayak fishing and get your feet wet in kayak fishing, whether it's striper, bass, scrappy, whatever you want, go check out LoneStarKayak.com. So great stuff, man. So okay, so diving into the KBF Trail at the Trinity, man. How excited were you when you saw that trail being announced?
Well, I was really excited because we typically don't get like a national event like in
Mm-hmm.
town. Like we might get one in the States somewhere, but like to get one that's like actually like in the backyard, a place where we fished before and actually felt really comfortable fishing. It was kind of cool, it was definitely different to not have to drive 5 to 7 hours
Yeah.
to fish a national event. So
Not having to pay an Airbnb or hotel or doing camping for a
yeah.
couple of nights, right?
Well, this time it was like my opportunity to kind of to host and
Nice.
kind of do that part. So it was
Yeah.
nice. It definitely was nice, like having I guess, yeah, just staying home and having kind of a home game or a home week.
And you've gotten quite a reputation for being a great host. I remember in the Lake Fork, the guys that were talking about you did. Was it that you when you finished the tournament at Lake Fork, you went crappie fishing? Then you caught
It
I
was,
saw your pictures. You got a bunch of crappies. Then you made like a fish fry that day.
yeah, it was actually during practice one of the days I was out there,
Okay.
and practice is going really well, and I pulled into a cove, and there was quite a few crappie on my fish finder, and I threw out there and started catching them, and it was, I mean, the action was really good, so I just loaded the boat, and I had a lot of friends to feed, so um,
Yeah.
I brought home a lot, and it was a good time. Yeah, we definitely cooked it up, and I think we ate all of that crappie that night, so it was pretty amazing.
There you go. Getting a reputation not only for a great angler, great guy, but also a great host and a great cook. So that's pretty awesome. So did you qualify for the Bassmaster at PK?
Possum Kingdom, I
Yeah,
did last year at
cool.
Logan Martin. Yeah,
Nice. Congratulations on that. How
thank you.
excited are you?
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's another one of those times where you have a home field advantage almost. Just the fact that you don't have
Yeah.
to travel, and it's a place you fished before, and so hopefully we can do well. I mean, I know that lake is unpredictable, and the fish you'll have to catch each one individually, and there's not any magic spot, and so you can't get too excited about it. But definitely, it's nice to not have to travel and all the other things that come along with you know fishing a place, and being familiar with it for a tournament. Because we're only going to have, I think, about a day and a half to practice, because I'm going to go to the Hobie tournament on Sam Rayburn the
Oh
weekend
yeah,
prior to that. So just having a little bit of history will help for sure.
definitely. And it's a great time to be a Texan right now if you love kayak fishing. A lot of tournaments have been coming up this year in Texas, and that's pretty cool. KBF, we got Lake Fork, that was Bassmasters or Bass Nation Kayak Series, I should say. We got Sam Rayburn, the Hobie BOS, and then the Bassmaster Classic at PK Possum Kingdom. So great time to be fishing in Texas for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel blessed to, to have the events and to have them come here and to showcase Texas bass fishing, I mean, we really do have some of the best bass fishing in the
Yeah.
country. And I think that people, when they saw the Trinity River event, they got to see that, the fishing here in North Texas can be pretty special. And, Possum Kingdom, without a doubt, is a great bass fishery, and it's going to show out. And I think people are really going to like it.
Oh, definitely, definitely. A beautiful lake, by the way, too. The scenery, everything's nice. And so, going back to the KBF Trail at Trinity, we had not only the Trinity River system here in Fort Worth, but you also could fish Benbrook Lake, um, uh,
Benbrook, Eagle Mountain,
Lake Worth. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, and Eagle Mountain.
Eagle Mountain and Marine Creek Reservoir, which I don't know that
Yes,
anybody fished there. I fished there a lot. Somebody
I
actually
have to.
told me. Somebody actually told me. I think I was talking to Don Brassels. He was messaging me. He's like, "Where did Scotch fit? Matt Scotch fit?" I'm like, "I have no idea." He was. I didn't see him at Eagle Mountain Lakes. He was probably at Marine Creek Reservoir. I'm like, if Matt put 102 inches on Marine Creek Reservoir, I don't care how much. I don't care how much Jody did, how much Guillermo did. Give that trophy to Matt because 102 inches of Marine Creek Reservoir was. Were you at Marine Creek Reservoir?
No, I wasn't.
No.
I was on Lake Worth.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody going there. I mean, maybe somebody did, but it's
Well,
a nice place. But go
I've
ahead.
caught 3 double digits on Marine Creek.
On the same day,
No, not on the same
yeah,
day. Absolutely not.
you probably caught the only three that were there. By the way, I actually have a picture of a guy that caught a 13-pounder. And I saw a
Yeah,
picture. It's like, yeah, that is definitely double digits. So they are, but I think they're few and far between. Although, but
they are.
it's a good lake to put a 5 feet limit. That's to me, it's kind of like a huge pond,
It is.
and beautiful and very nice too. Very nice for a relaxing short day to kayak fishing. So, what spot did you ended up fishing, Matt?
On on Lake Worth.
Lake Worth, really
Yeah.
nice. What made you decide to go to Lake Worth, knowing that Eagle Mountain Lake was one of the options?
Well, Benbrook was an option too, and
Yeah.
I really love Benbrook, to tell you the truth. I would love
Yes.
to fish the tournament on Benbrook, and for whatever reason, it was really windy that week, and it just didn't set up well for me to go out and to fish some of the stuff I wanted to fish on Benbrook. So, and Eagle Mountain was on too. Eagle Mountain's a fantastic lake,
It
and
is.
I don't know. I had a spot on. I lived in Lake Worth for 5 years, and I had a
Nice.
spot in Lake Worth that like I just wanted to check out, and I went and checked it out, and it was really good. And I went back and checked it one other time, and I just said, it's good. I'm gonna let it rest till tournament day. I'm gonna come back and fish here, and that's what I ended up doing. I didn't find anything else just because it was so windy. The couple other times that I went out and practiced, I didn't find anything better. We caught lots of fish all week, but I wasn't, you know, on Worth. I was catching, over 100 inches, and I was
Really?
catching like not, yeah, and on the Trinity, I was catching like 90s. I just wasn't catching that upper class fish, that bigger 20 plus on the Trinity River, in downtown. I was catching a lot of like 18s and 19s, but I couldn't get over that 20-inch, and on the lake I was getting those bigger fish. So I just decided to go with the lake instead.
Yeah, good
And I
call,
think
by the way.
I think that was everybody. I think everybody that fished on the lake was catching bigger stringers of bass.
Yeah, I think the downtown Trinity River it was a good it's a good option to put 5 fish. Like to me it's kind of like my own stomping grounds. I fished it. I fished it quite a lot, and I'm not gonna say it's easy because fishing is never easy, but you know you can
But
get
the
a
fishing's
consistently
good down
5 limit.
there.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is
It's really
surprisingly
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can like you can tell when there's a lot of currents. You know, you can if you know the river, you know where they're gonna stack up. You know, on pretty
yeah.
much on every season. You know, on water levels and everything. It's pretty easy once you get familiar with it. It's pretty common to get a nice 5 fish limit. But to me, I thought that's not. There's no way either Marine Creek or Trinity River is going to come out with the winner. Not when you consider the names that were out here fishing, and basically, you know, the guys, the local guys here like yourself, Guillermo, Ross Pinkerton. A lot of people don't know Ross. Ross is a great
Yeah,
angler.
he is.
He fishes great at Benbrook. I think he fished
Yeah.
at Benbrook as well. Cody, man, there's a bunch of guys here in Texas that fish a lot. So I thought, yeah, Trinity River, I don't think it's gonna cut it. But Lake Worth and Benbrook and also Eagle Mountain Lake, to me, I thought, okay, I was sure the winner were gonna come from Eagle Mountain Lake, and it did the first day. Now, did you fish both days in Lake Worth?
I did. Yeah, I did. I went back to the same spot that I was fishing, and I actually kind of laid off it because I didn't have those. Like what they were catching on the lake on Eagle Mountain Lake was much bigger than like I didn't have like 24 and 25-inch bass swimming around where I was fishing at. I had bass that were like 20 to 23 more, more in that size, and like some 21s and 22s, and there might have been like one giant one, but to catch a stringer like Guillermo or Jody caught, I would have had to caught every big fish in there, and totally, I couldn't do that 2 days in a row, and I knew I had to fish another day in there, and I just didn't think that I was going to get that. It, I was going to end up catching a bass I needed on the next day, and I didn't want to do that. And so I kind of laid off them in there when I had 102 inches.
That's what I was gonna go. That's exactly what I was gonna ask you because I was talking to Kristen Fisher at the boat ramp on Saturday when the line's out, and I know like on Fishing Chaos there was a little bit of a problem. There was some technical difficulties that we couldn't upload fish. I got my 3 fish pretty quickly, but I couldn't upload them. And then I talked to Kristen Fisher, and she was telling me that you caught it. You caught 101 inches, I think, in the first hour, like before 8 o'clock. Is that correct?
Yeah, 102 inches.
Wow. So when you look at that and you say, okay, 102, and it's only 8 o'clock, how does that, what's in your mind now going forward? Do you thinking I got this one? Even though you know who's fishing over there, you know, at Eagle Mountain Lake, which is Guillermo and Jody Queen and Kristen Fisher. But how comfortable were you that you had this signed, sealed, and delivered?
I mean, I don't know about 100% about signed, sealed, and delivered because, like, I know it's Texas, and like I know those, Jody, G, Christine, they were on fish, and they can definitely get them, and they had been catching them that week, a bunch of big ones too. So, but I did think that it would be tough because it was windy that day on the lake, and I just didn't know how the wind was affecting them up there. And we had a really great morning. So that morning started off, and I mean, it went just like the practice morning went. Like they were in the same spots in the same area. They were real active, and I got the first one on a spinner bait, and then it was just like boom, 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 like really quick with the frog. Like I caught all the big ones, and yeah, I felt pretty good about it. Like when I caught the third big one and went over 100 inches, like I was like, man, like I feel really good. I mean, you got that many inches and you get it that early in the morning, and the bite's that good. yeah, you have to feel like things are going to go your way that day. I mean, you're not losing fish, you're getting them in the boat, they're big fish. So, yeah, I felt really good that my chances to win were high. And, when you have a morning like that, people are paying attention to the leaderboard and everything, and you're getting messages, and people are blowing your phone up, telling you, oh, you got this, you can, you can get off the water now. People are telling you all that kind of stuff, and I also knew that with what I had, like I said, I kind of needed to manage the area because it wasn't that big an area, and I didn't know or didn't think that I had like a lot of like really big fish there, just like good average size fish. And so, anyways, yeah, I kind of took off my foot off the gas, and I kind of quit fishing that area, kind of letting it rest. And you know, some people might not think that was the right thing to do. I don't know. You never know for sure or not, but in my mind, I probably, like I said, didn't sore lip a fish that I ended up needing the next day when it was really tough, and I ended up getting just the amount of bites I needed in there. So ended up working out, but you just have to tip your hat to Jody and Guillermo for having, you know, the one of the best days in kayak fishing history.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
congratulations to those guys. I mean, I had a great day, and they stole the show. So, not much more you can say about that.
How disappointed were you that just like, man, I did all this and I only ended up with third place? Was there any disappointment, or were you just happy with what you got? At
I was
least on
happy. I mean,
Saturday, not knowing what's going to happen on Sunday.
yeah. I mean, not knowing. I mean, I was happy, and I mean, like I said, you just have to be happy for them. I mean, you can't be upset about it. I mean, they had, just an absolutely incredible day, and it was pretty special what they did. And like I said, you just have to tip your hat to them, and you have to be okay with it. I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes. And maybe next time that's going to be me catching 111 inches. Hopefully a little bit bigger than what Guillermo got. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough. But there was another tournament the next day, and I did not think there was any way they were going to be able to go back and repeat the next day. The wind was out of a different direction, and then also, I mean, I felt like if they were catching them like that, that they had exhausted all of their fish, on day one. And that was my opinion. If it was the case or not, I don't know. I think they all might have missed some key fish anyways, but um, it was the fishing was definitely tougher on Sunday for everybody. I mean, the scores were down from day one, but
Yeah.
it was still really tight. I mean, I think there were 6 scores within like an inch and a half, maybe.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about sore lip and their fish, and that the adding to that, I know listening to the KBN show that Guillermo did, talking about him fishing with Jody Quinn, kind of the same spot, and watching Christine Fisher YouTube video where she was fishing. They all seem to be fishing at that general area. So those
Yeah,
fish got hammered, by all three, by literally some of the top three hammers in the world in that
yeah,
same spot. So if it was
all
just
week.
Guillermo fishing there, or just Jody, exactly, or just Jody fishing there, or just if it was just one of them fishing there, then the bite, might have stayed there. And like you said, it's they're fishing the reeds, which is hit or miss in the sense that there's because of dynamics of fishing that type of heavy cover, you're bound to lose fish. Like, it's frustrating. It's one of those things where that if you hook into five fish, you're lucky to get three of them. I know there's some of the great anglers like Guillermo and Jody. Probably that's a little bit higher percentage than the rest of us, but it is tough to fish those spots too. So it's add to that the fact that the pre-fishing and all three hammers, again, Christine, Gio, and Jody were hitting that spot. You got to figure by Sunday those fish were laid out. So
Yeah.
now going into Sunday, looking back after Sunday, you realize you won Sunday. Do you still feel the same way about putting the foot off the pedal on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think I would have been able to catch them, and I mean, the fish where I was fishing at were pretty exhausted. There were other people fishing the KBF tournament in there, and so I mean, those fish were getting hammered too. So, um, I think it was definitely the right idea to lay off them a little bit because, like I said, I mean, the last fish I caught was 21 inches, and it jumped me up. It called like a 17 maybe or a 16, and it jumped me all the way up to tie Matthew Flett, and it was like just enough to tie him and to take the tiebreaker. So, um, and it was at the last second that it could have been caught too. So it was just pretty special, how it all came down to the wire, last cast, just the fish was just enough. But yeah, I mean, sometimes when it's meant to be, it's just meant to be.
So you kind of pulled the Guillermo on Sunday. That's what you're saying, kind of like the last minute, last cast. Literally, that's what the one that
Yeah,
got you the winner.
yeah, you couldn't have caught it
That's
any
awesome.
more. There wouldn't have been another cast because it would have been after after the last submission time. So yeah, it was pretty. Like I said, it was pretty special.
How
I
much?
got it in.
Go ahead. I was about to ask
Oh,
you that. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I was about to ask you. You got it in what?
oh, I got it in. I mean, it was time stamped. 2:30 on it.
Oh,
Two
that's
thirty in like 18 seconds. So I mean, if it was any later than if it said 2:31, they wouldn't have taken it. But they'll take anything that's time stamped 2:30.
that's crazy. Just at the really last minute. So you got a third place and first place,
And
and I mean that's pretty good. I mean, looking back on hindsight, the idea of getting the foot off the pedal, it seems kind of like, really, do you really want to do that, especially after you got 102 inches by 8 o'clock? Do you really want to put off the pedal? Why don't you just go for it? But we can see, and that's the difference between maybe the average angler that fishes a 2-day tournament. Now, obviously, the 2-day tournament in the Hobie BOS is different than the 2-day tournament in KBF, just because it's two separate trails instead of just one and averaging the score.
yeah,
So, or totaling the score between those 2 days, I should say. So that really is the difference between the average Joe and the guys like you that really know how not just to fish, but fish in a tournament. Because that again, that's a gutsy call. If I'm having 102 inches by 8 o'clock, I'm ripping through it. I'm just trying for another Grand Slam. But the wisdom to just say laid off, take my shots. I know I'm not, or you feel in your heart, it says like, I know where I'm fishing. I know the area. I know I'm not gonna get 109 inches or 111 inches. Let's just lay it off and fight tomorrow. That is really, I mean, wisdom that you can't teach, and
yeah.
it's
I
a
mean,
credit to you.
I was still fishing, but I mean, I wasn't. Once I saw what they had later in the day, I definitely it laid off at that point too because I knew that it was almost pointless to even try. If I caught a 22-inch fish, I would pull myself from like 102 to 104, and like, what was that gonna do? Like, it wasn't gonna help me. It was all that was just gonna hurt me for the next day. So, yeah, I mean, what Guillermo and Jody did was so special that, like I said, you just gotta tip your hat to them and just be okay with it.
Yeah, definitely. It's gotta kind of bittersweet. I would think, having such an epic day and then only getting third of it. And same thing for Jody Quinn, getting 109 and just finishing second place at with 12 minutes to go. It's gotta be in a way heartbreaking. But credit to Jody Quinn. I talked to him at the boat ramp, and he was like, "I am mad." He was as happy as if he would have won it himself.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean,
credit to him.
he had a
Yeah.
109-inch day. He caught an 11-pounder. Yeah, I mean, even though he didn't win, he had a pretty special day of
Yeah.
bass fishing.
And it wasn't like he went home empty-handed either. He still gets a big check. So props to him and to you guys for putting on a great show. I have to say, it is being part of that tournament because I was fishing at Eagle Mountain Lake. And obviously, I didn't get the results that I want, but I was so pumped up just watching the leaderboard by 8 o'clock, just knowing that you had 102 inches, and then keep checking. And I see Christian Fisher moving up. Then I see Jody Quinn. And as I'm pedaling to the boat ramp, lines out, I see Gio just knock it out of the ballpark. To me, I've never experienced that much excitement,
Yeah,
in
no.
such a passive sport, to be honest with you, but just as a spectator and as a competitor, because at that point I'm competing, but I'm also a spectator to it. And I wanted to ask you this. Now, we see Tourney X, most of the tournaments, they cut off, some of them cut off way too early, like at 12, but usually they cut off before lines out. Fishing Chaos or KBF has left it the whole time, and I thought that was awesome.
I
I
actually
always
kind of
think,
like. I kind of liked it too. I'm not gonna lie. It was a nice little change, and I liked being able to peek at it and look at it, and yeah, I
yeah,
like that.
I think it's awesome. I wish the rest of the tournaments would do that. I understand why they want to do it, but at the same time, it's like I want to hear their stories. Like if I'm fishing, whether I'm fishing or I'm just following the tournament, if they cut off, let's say 2 hours prior, now I'm just like, okay, well, what happened? I lost interest. Now I've would have spent the whole day just looking at the Tourney X. Now I'm not looking at the Tourney X because it's already caught off. And by the time that they do the presentation award, maybe 4 hours have passed. You know, Sometimes even six because they caught off at 12, and then the ceremony's not until 4 or 5. So at that point, sometimes I just lose interest from a spectator's point of view.
Yeah,
And that's the thing about it that I think a lot of people there's two ways there's different layers to this in order for the sports to grow. There's the competitors, and you have to think about the competitors first. The kayak anglers are competing, they come first. But at the same time, the spectators, the people that are logging in, they're investing them time into looking, opening these apps and going into social media and keeping tabs on them. It's what's gonna bring eyes to the tournament. And that's what those algorithms are gonna be what the big name companies are going to look at. It says, okay, you got a great tournament, but how many people are watching? How many people are invested in this? Because that's also what's going to bring the money. There's different layers to this, not just about, you know, um, product placement or, just different. There's not just one thing that's going to determine how the sport grows. It has to be a lot with the anglers getting better at it, the tournament directors finding the right lakes and coordinating between themselves when and where to place a tournament, and also making it attractive not only for the people that are competing, but also for the people that are invested in it and watching it from a spectator's point of view. And I think the fishing chaos, just going back to it, leaving it open, I think that brings more excitement to it.
yeah. No, I liked it, and yeah. So hopefully, maybe Hobie. I don't know. Who knows? I don't want to say maybe Hobie because like I don't want to like say like someone else should do it differently. But I definitely did like the fishing chaos kept the leaderboard open,
Yeah,
and
it keeps.
I was
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, I had people messaging me and blowing me up like all morning, telling me great job, and like you can take it to the bank, and these all the people just joking around all morning, and then so it was cool, I mean, and that's like people following along, like you were saying, keeping up with the tournament, and you know, so people are definitely, they are watching, you know, and so it's pretty cool to see.
It is. It's awesome. And props to Chad Hoover and KBF for taking that approach to it. I think it's a great idea. I mean, and not criticizing the rest of the tournaments. If they want to do it their way, that's fine. But I
Yeah,
just think
no, I mean,
they should take notice at this, because I think you get more people putting their eyes on the website or the app for longer periods of time versus just like, well, the last 2 hours I'm not want to watch it because it's already closed. So
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
and
Go
there
ahead.
were last second fish submissions coming in, like in like the last like hour, like big fish were getting caught, and there was like a lot of excitement happening, and people were getting to see that like coming in, like, and so, typically they wouldn't have seen any of that under, with the last hour of the leaderboard going off. So it was cool, it was just a really special day, and you know, I was kind of glad to be part of it, but at the same time, like, Guillermo and Jody definitely stole the show.
Yeah, they definitely did. But all four of you, including Christine, Miss Consistency there, going fourth place on both days. What a great angler! And one of the things about
Oh,
Christine is,
she's incredible.
yeah, she is.
Yeah.
I got to meet her for the first time at the boat ramp. Joy to talk to, and what I really enjoy about watching her is you see her progression. Like she's putting so much time on the water consistently, and you see her every year, and so is Guillermo. You see Guillermo now spending more time fishing, more time on tournaments, and you see the fruits of their labor, how they're getting stronger and stronger. It seems to like every year and every tournament. Obviously, there's tournaments that you kind of like come back to reality, but that consistency of just getting better and better and putting their, challenging those top names like Jody Quinn and Russ Snyder, giving them a run for their money. It's pretty exciting. We love watching Russ Snyder and Jody Quinn duke it out. I mean, that's like the 1-2 punch, but at the same time, there's something to be said when you get other people coming up and, especially people from different backgrounds, just coming up and challenging those big names and giving them a run for their money. I think it keeps it more exciting and more interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you don't want, I mean, I love Jody and I love Russ, but you don't want any one person, winning every tournament. So it's kind of good to see, like, some other people, get a piece of the pie every once in a while.
Let me ask you this, going back a little bit to Lake Fork. We see how Lake Fork is, nationally known, as a gem, as a big bass factory and well-deserved reputation. And granted, the tournament at Lake Fork was closer to that week we have of like 6 inches of snow and some of the lakes actually being frozen over in some areas. So that I know might have changed the bite for Lake Fork. But we see Lake Fork was one with 96 inches. I'm sorry, 98 inches. I think it was by Nate Gloria. Either ways, it was less than triple digits, which I was a little bit surprised. I thought there was going to be bigger numbers. I thought for sure that maybe the
Yeah.
top 2 or 3 would get triple digits. And then you see a lake like Eagle Mountain Lake, which is, it, and I know from talking to people that Eagle Mountain Lake what's capable of. That may not, 110 inches and 109 inches, 2 different anglers. That's still surprising. I don't care where you're fishing. That is still
Yeah.
surprising numbers, but
Yeah.
maybe not as surprising to a guy like you who's from Fort Worth. When you see how Lake Fork is being, pressured every day. It's like crappy fishermen, boat tour guides, tourists. It just gets, I don't think there's a day, like most lakes you go on a weekday and you may have a few spots to yourself just because a lot of people don't go. Lake Fork, you can go, I've gone on Mondays and I've seen tournaments on Mondays, for crying out loud. So you see the numbers are not what they used to be. And you kind of worry as a Texan. I kind of worry where Lake Fork is going to, although that's a cycle because once, it loses kind of like its reputation, then people back off a little, then it picks up,
Yeah.
But when you look at what Eagle Mountain Lake produced and when you look at Lake Fork produced, what are your thoughts on that? A lake that is relatively unknown compared to a lake that it's known, and the discrepancies in numbers and bags. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think that we hit Fork just a little off. There were some really great fishing getting caught in practice, and for whatever reason, like that day, like everybody struggled, on tournament day. I don't know if it's tournament pressure, or what it is exactly, but that day, it was just a little off. I think a week later, or even a week earlier, and you do see those big bags at Lake Fork. And Eagle Mountain was just like the stars aligned perfectly for the people that were fishing there that week. I mean, it was the right time of year. There was a right moon cycle. I mean, the water. I mean, everything was just right. The water level was right. I mean, everything was right for the fish to be where they were at. And there's a lot of big fish in Eagle Mountain, like a lot of big fish. It's really
No.
healthy. It's been full for 5 years, and that's really important for our lakes. If they can stay pretty full for 5 years and be full during the spawns, the lakes are going to be healthy. And Eagle Mountain has been pretty healthy for about 5 years now, and so it's in really great shape. And yeah, I mean, the stars just aligned for the people that were fishing there that week, and it showed out, and it showed out like the high end potential of what that lake's really capable of. And you just have to congratulate the anglers, who showcased it, because they really did show. It's not easy. It's not like you can go there and just say, oh, you're going to catch 109 inches. But they showed, what it swims in the lake, and there are some real giant fish in that lake.
It is. And it wasn't only just the local guys, because a lot of people say, well, that's because the guys, local guys. No, Jody Quinn is not local. I'm from Texas. And I don't
He's not
know if he's
local,
fit.
but
Yeah.
I mean,
And neither is Christian
Jody,
Fisher, by the way. And they did both
Jody,
great.
yeah, they did. But Jody and Christine were staying with Guillermo, and they were, so that they kind of had like a little bit of a heads up,
Yeah.
probably,
A network. And I think that's brings me to an interesting point, because I know that subject is kind of like a hot topic for people that I've had on my show, that kind of feel like, well, there's this clique group of guys that just share their information. They have their network. They stay at the same spots. They share. They'll get rent the house, and they'll just share info. Some of them are from Texas, some of them from Arkansas, some of them, they're from all over. So they have this clique group, and of course, they're gonna always kind of dominate. And I can get that. I think
I mean,
I
that's
don't.
kind of, I don't know. I mean, I guess for me, the way things always were is I kind of just originally always stayed to myself, and like slowly over time kind of became friends with some people, and now kind of have like a circle of friends that, just through over time I've kind of become friends with. Um, but yeah, I mean, I see that's kind of the case for like a lot of people. I mean, it helps to have people if you travel, to split expenses with, and I mean, so many times, like in kayak fishing, I mean, people fish as like, so many people fish as like a team or a group, or, I'm not saying it's like something that like goes on like, like me and Guillermo per se, because like, Guillermo wants nothing more than to beat me, and I assure you, G is not. We lived together for like 4 years, and for like 4 years, like he would not help. Like, I mean, he would help me with fishing, but like if it was a tournament related, he was he was not telling me anything. Guillermo wants to beat me so bad, like Um, so, but I mean, just in kayak fishing in general, like you do see it with friends and stuff like that, where they travel together and they might help each other out. I mean, it's just part of it. And if you don't have that, well, find somebody that
Yeah.
you can link up with, or and travel with, and that's just kind of, it just starts organically, and I wouldn't let that deter anybody from
Of
fishing,
course.
because at the end of the day, most of these people, even though they're like traveling together, they want to beat each other. So they're not really like helping them. Like, they're probably not helping them like you probably think they're helping them.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to win. So I mean, they're not really probably giving up the juice, to people that are gonna beat them. It's like I might stay with Russ Snyder's, but it's like, like I don't need to help him beat me. He's already good enough.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I mean, I understand it. It's a valid point for some people. To me, I look at it as like, yeah, I don't have this close group of friends that go kayak fishing. I'm out of all my close friends, I'm the only one that does this. So and I didn't come from a bass fishing culture, meaning that I didn't, grew up in a grass, bluegrass state where bass fishing is you do when you're kids. Now, I just picked up bass fishing not that long ago, about
Yeah.
4 years ago. And when you look at on the other side of it, you see Brian Howell just doing so much both in the TKC and Lake Darnell. And I was listening again to on KBN. He was talking about he just literally started bass fishing, and he doesn't have that network where he's breaking bread with Russ Snyder's and Christine Fisher and all that. Not that they don't get along, but I'm just saying,
I mean,
you can see what he's doing, so there's really no excuse. I mean, you just have to put in the work. It is an uphill battle, and yes, the odds are stacked against you when you go against those guys, but it's just a matter of everybody. If you're gonna complain about that, then don't get into kayak fishing. Otherwise, just put in the work and do the best that you can.
yeah, I mean, like I said, don't let any people's friendships or anything like that deter you from fishing in a kayak fishing tournament, because at the end of the day, like that stuff doesn't put fish in the boat.
Now, it does help
So
you grow as an angler, that's for sure. When you surround yourself with guys like Russ Snyder, Matthew Scotch, Guillermo, Christine Fisher, Jody Quinn, obviously you're gonna get better at it because you're surrounding yourself with people that are gonna talk about that, and you're gonna grab that. That's normal,
yeah,
yeah, and that's what I would say if you're really
I'll
interested in
I'll
anybody
give
out
you
there.
one.
Yeah,
I'll give you one like downside to that some of that stuff though. Those are like, let's just say I'm staying with Russ and Cody Milton. Well, both of those guys might want to go to spots I want to go to, but we all might want to go to those spots. And, if one of them goes and fishes that before me, like now, like I feel like I can't really fish that because one of the guys I'm staying with is already fishing there. And so, it can kind of be like a detriment too. Like I feel like
yeah,
sometimes, because like those guys are such good fishermen that like, they tend to find like good spots or the better spots or whatever it tends to be, just productive areas sometimes. Uh, and when I guess like what I'm trying to say is like, when you're staying with someone, then you can't really go. It's what I'm saying. You can't go to that spot because they're already catching them there.
yeah,
So I don't know. Like I said,
yeah.
sometimes
I don't think it
like
may help you at that Pacific tournament. I think in the long run, just surrounding yourself with greatness is going to help you. It's going
without
to
it.
put you on a highway to be better. Maybe not that specific tournament, but just, you
No,
know,
without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, when you see people that are just dedicated and they're good at what they do, it makes you want to be better, and it makes you want to do better. And so yeah, without a doubt, I mean, the better people or more people you can surround yourself with, and it doesn't even have to be like the best fisherman ever. Like I learned stuff from like everybody. It doesn't even matter who it is. It could be someone that's won a lot of tournaments or someone that's not won anything. Like it. You can always kind of listen, and sometimes people have valuable information. Whether it's like I said, whether they're a 7-time tournament winner or whether they've never won a tournament. You just kind of got to listen and decipher and decide for yourself. But
definitely. So, Matt, a quick question before I let you go. 'Cause I know we've keeping you for a little bit while now it's getting dark, and I do appreciate it. I
yeah,
know it's a
no,
weekday, so thank you.
you're good. You're good.
But without giving away too much of the juice here, what worked for you as far as both days? What baits worked for you? Were you targeting spawning or pre-spawn fish or post-spawn fish?
Yeah, so a lot of the fish I was fishing for were spawning and post spawn fish. There weren't too many pre-spawn fish, but most of the fish I caught were caught on a frog, and it's just a little walking frog, and I would throw it by wood. Most of the fish were spawning on or around some wood, and so I would just throw it up around, an area where I thought one might be, and I would just twitch it up there. And most of the time, they would, if they were up there, they would hammer it. And yeah, I probably caught about 50 frogfish between,
Really? Wow.
the 2 days of tournament fishing.
I struggle to get 5 fish in a day. Any day fishing. 50 fish, you said, on both days? Between both days, 50, 50?
On a frog.
Holy crap. Wow. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah, I
congratulations,
mean,
man.
it was hard to put the frog down. I mean,
I bet.
and I had lived in Lake Worth for about 5 years, so it was it was something where like I knew that they eat the frog really well in Lake Worth, and it was just really cool to like, they did it so well for me, during that tournament, and it just worked out, it just worked out the way it did. It's just a really special week. You couldn't have drawn it up any better or asked for it to happen, you know, any different way, in my opinion.
Definitely. Well, Matt, congratulations again. Good
Thank you,
luck
Armando.
on the appreciate it. Good luck on the Bass. I always get that right wrong. Bass Nation Kayak Series at
At Possum Kingdom.
Possum Kingdom. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the Classic. Wish you the best. Other than that, what's next as far as your tournament goes?
Man, I'm gonna try to get over. North Texas is having a tournament on Bridgeport this Saturday.
Oh yeah,
I haven't been out there this year, but I think I'm just gonna show up blind and see what happens. Probably contribute to some of the local guys that have been out there, practicing, and I know that some people definitely have been catching them out there. They always are, and so we'll see. I'll fish that, and then I think there's a TKC coming up on Belton.
Belton,
Uh,
May 1st.
yeah, that might be it. Yeah,
Yep,
and
I'm hoping to make that one.
yeah, Belton's such a great lake.
Yeah,
It's
it
got
is.
smallmouth, largemouth. It kind of has whatever, different types of fishing, and every time I've gone there, I've been able to catch smallies and largemouth. So definitely looking forward to doing that. Uh, and then I'm trying to think like big tournament wise. I don't know. I don't think I
Sam
have
Rayburn.
anything. Yeah, I mean Sam Rayburn, and then the one on the Bassmaster on Possum Kingdom. Those are both in June, I think. So not a lot. May, I don't think. Oh, you know what? There's a TKC on Amistad too, May
Amistad, May
22nd.
22nd. Yeah.
Yep. So I think I'll try to do that too. I actually grew up. So where I learned how to bass fish was down on Amistad.
Really?
Uh,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. So, but the lake is very different now than it was back in those days. The lake used to be full, and now I want to say it's like 60%, if it even has
Oh
sixty
wow.
percent in it. So like, there's not even water in the places I used to fish. So yeah, it's not even the same lake. So I don't know what to expect. I mean, I expect it to be good, but it'll be a totally new lake. I'll have to relearn it on the fly, kind of.
Yeah, that's one of the things where like when you so used to a lake changes so much, I think it's kind of like a detriment because now you have to like unlearn or forget what you learned and approach in a different way. And that's a hard habit to break because you're always going to gravitate
Oh
to what you
yeah,
know, which is no longer there in this case.
it's not even there. Yeah, it's like way
Yeah,
up on the bank, way up there. So yeah, it's gonna be totally different. I legitimately don't even know what I'm gonna do. I'll just have to show up and see it with my own two eyes, and then just start scrambling to figure something out. But we'll try to make something happen. I mean, the water's still clear, I think. So for the most part, like some of the same things should still translate or work. I feel like
definitely.
there's just a lot less water.
Well, Matt, again, thank you so much for taking time. I'll give you a few minutes to do those shout outs and plugins. Anybody you want to thank, business partners, family members, whoever you want to give a shout out to.
Yeah, just the basic sponsors and people that kind of keep me up and going. Mariner Cells here in Dallas.
Great
You know,
place.
yeah, they keep me outfitted with everything I need. I just took them 2 Hobie drives today that they're getting, kind of worked on for me. Either, some sometimes, when you do the guiding thing, people can be a little rough on the equipment. So, it helps having Mariner Cells there, to help with, some maintenance on stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely couldn't do it without those guys. So definitely appreciate Mariner Cells. NRS, just like Mariner Cells, I mean, they keep me outfitted in like the really, the nicest fishing sun shirts and pants and, everything I need, life jackets and stuff to, keep everybody safe and afloat. And, you know, so, huge thanks to those guys. They're always there to help with different stuff, traveling and tournament wise too. So definitely appreciate NRS. Excite Baits, same thing, Lloyd's always there, to help with anything we need for tournaments. At Dardanelle this past week, we were killing them with the Excite XV1, the square bill they make with the knocker in it.
Yeah.
And, I had to tell them, like, to keep it on the low. And then, of course, tournament day, everything changes and I can't catch a fish to save my life. But, like, all week, like the XV1 was, like, smashing them. So, so thanks, Excite Baits and Hobie Fishing, for everything they do, keeping the guide service outfitted with boats too, but they kind of run with the Mariner thing. So, yeah, and that's kind of about it, man.
Yeah, great stuff. And again, if you want to book a tour guide with Matt, Lone Star, let me put it up right here again. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, LoneStarKayakGuide.com. Some great spots. I've been there. I know the areas you fish. I've on your tour guides like Brazos River, Possum Kingdom, and Whitney Dam too. You also do. You got a spot over there where you can access ice other than the dam, right?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
spot there too.
It's a really nice spot.
Great for frog fishing. I love frog fishing. I'll do wading around this time. I always have to keep an eye on the water release, but that area with below the dam where Whitney, where it's that long grass, that's awesome for frog fishing. I love
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. Nice clear water. Well, Matt, thank you again for taking time out of your busy day. We do appreciate it. I'm sure my listeners appreciate you talking about your big win at the KBF Trails and a whole bunch of other stuff that we're talking on the podcast. So again, thank you. For those out there listening, thank you again. We do appreciate it. If you made it this far in the show, remember, check out Douglas Rods at douglasoutdoors.com to check out their full lineup of LRS, X Matrix, and the award-winning fly fishing rods, douglasoutdoors.com. Have a good night. If you're going to be on the water, wear your PFDs. Stay safe. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com